Hello, my name is Liz Vick. I'm the VP of Strategy for the John Howard Society Pacific. And enclosed here is a video for our submission to the Special Committee for Reforming the Police Act. This includes individual independent views from people within the JHS network. And we'd just like to note that the views and experience expressed here do not necessarily speak for the whole organization, but they are representative of the stories that we see day in, day out in our work. John Howard Society Pacific is a social services organization that aims to support people who are experiencing complex and multiple barriers. We aim to create a safe, healthy, and inclusive community. And included here are views from people who access that community. As a social and criminal justice organization supporting individuals with complex needs across BC and Yukon, we see firsthand how complex social issues such as mental health and addictions can have a profound impact on people in our communities. For almost 90 years, our organization has worked with marginalized communities, including providing person-centered wraparound supports to people transitioning from the criminal justice system, as well as those with problematic substance use, people with developmental disabilities, autism spectrum disorder, and fetal alcohol spectrum disorder, as well as people experiencing challenges with their mental health. In our work supporting vulnerable community members, we see the criminalization of poverty, homelessness, mental health, addictions, and other complex social issues every day. We see and hear stories of unfair treatment and the criminalization of social issues. We see the presence and impact of systemic racism, both in the daily experiences of people we serve and in the overrepresentation of racialized groups in our criminal justice system, as well as the health and social service ministries. And through our experience and expertise, we see the tremendous need for change in our systems. We recognize the positive impact that alternative approaches can have in supporting people with complex needs, not only for the person themselves, but also for public safety and the wider community. In response to the committee's request for submissions, we reached out to our network. We believe that the areas of interest of the committee are very applicable to the experiences of the people we serve. We've invited two of our peer mentors, Jason Flack and David Towers, who can speak to their own experiences, both lived and witnessed. They are a part of our peer mentor program, which is part of the correctional health services delivered to people while they're incarcerated in provincial correctional centers. The peer mentors are people with lived experience of addiction and incarceration, and now they support people who are transitioning out of the prisons into community, who are looking for support for addictions issues. While the views expressed by Jason and David in their responses to the following questions are theirs and theirs alone, there are similarities in experiences across many of the vulnerable individuals we serve. We believe it's really important to highlight and give a platform to people with lived experience to share their own views, perspectives, and recommendations.
Okay, yeah, well, my name is Jason Flack. I'm a peer mentor with the John Howard Society. I've been working with John Howard for just about a year now. I was in active addiction for 27 years, and I've been in and out of corrections for about 30.
If you read my criminal file, which you may or may not have, everything on there reads like the dumbest criminals, if you could call it criminal acts. I was all drunk and addicted when I did these things. Like I support John Howard 100% because they were there for me. You guys did it for me. So now I got an opportunity to sort of pass it along.
They just hold so much power, right? And they can do whatever they want. And there's no repercussions on the police, or there hasn't been. You know, not all police are bad. They're humans, so we get good and bad. But a lot of the police that I dealt with, they just have so much power. And you know, if it's a criminal, a person being charged, whether he's guilty or not, if he's saying, well, the police officer did this, you know, it's not going, I don't feel it's going to be really addressed, right? It doesn't matter what the police officer did to me or to anybody else in my position, right? They're too powerful, right? They got too much power.
I have had some very enthusiastic beatings at the hands of the Vancouver Police Force.
Okay.
And I got to tell you, rigorous honesty, I have co-signed every single one of them. I'm a lifer on parole.
Mm-hmm.
I consider myself pretty grateful because some guys actually get harassed because of who they were in a previous existence.
To the eyes, my number is 0287597. That's my CS number. That's who I am to the police. That's who I am to the Ministry of Children. That's who I am to community corrections. That's who I am to the prison system, right? That's Jason.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't matter what I said, nobody would believe me, right? Because I was an addict, I would be lying, right? Or I would be trying to manipulate, or, I was trying to control what would happen. And these are all part of active addiction. But when an addict gets clean, man, like they're different. All them things that we used to do are necessary that we don't do them anymore. Come up. If they run my name, I have a CS number, right? So I've been in jail, I've been on probation, I have a lengthy record, and it's drug related, right? So that's who I am when I get pulled over. I'm not Jason, peer mentor worker with the John Howard, advocate for people with barriers. You know what I mean? What else did I do? The 2020 impact report for the John Howard. I'm not that guy. I'm the guy that they have for the paperwork that they have, right? And who I am today is completely different than who I was then. Dealing directly with police, I don't trust them,
Mm-hmm.
right? At all.
Oh, I've seen it firsthand in the lockup at 312 Main. On one occasion, we were all locked up, and there's a big community cell there with a few bunk beds in it, and there was a black kid in there, and this one cop kept coming in and harassing him and calling him a dumb shit, right, repeatedly, and this guy, he was doing his share of beaking off too, right's right. But I remember sitting on that bunk thinking, why? Because he's calling him a dumb shit, and I just assumed it was because the kid was black. Part of it. That's the way it was coming across to me. And of course, in an environment like that, you don't say, hey, because now you got 50 cops on you,
Mm-hmm.
right or wrong.
Mm-hmm.
But there was that, and I remember filing that back here. That's racism. For all I cared about racism in those days, because make no mistake, I've had my issues with it. There's been racism as long as I've been around, and Black Lives Matter, Asian lives matter, Brown lives matter, Métis lives matter, and I don't know what to do to stop the racism. Mostly directed toward natives. Right? Down here, I've seen more racist comments and digs and stuff, and physical stuff too, against the natives than any other. I never did figure it was right.
Just to be open-minded, I think, would be the best, instead of being, well, you're the male, so obviously this happened, or you're the addict, so obviously you're lying. Be a little more open-minded and realize that we're all humans, whether we're a male or a female, right? We're all humans. We all lie. We all commit crimes, right? We all commit sins, right? So, just to be open-minded, both sides are whether you're a man or you're a woman, or you're an addict or a not addict, we're all human, right? And we all deserve to be treated equally. Any interaction with police should be monitored by an outside source. So if they're going to arrest somebody at a house, there should be an outside source there. Somebody that isn't paid by the police station, somebody that is appointed through the people, somebody that doesn't have the agenda to just be unbiased, have an unbiased person monitoring what the police do in all aspects of it.
And I've seen a couple of times when I saw some of the cops displaying an incredible amount of compassion for the people that live down there. And it is a community, it's a legitimate community. I wouldn't want to have to do their job, because you got to be this guy, but you got to be this guy, right? And I admire anybody that can do that. Maybe one idea to look at would be to have a fleet of car 87s, one for each area of the city that has mental health concerns in it, which I guess is pretty much most of the city. But I noticed that it's always there's a male and a female officer there, and I'm pretty sure there's a reason for that, but it's a good idea.
Nothing. I think they should just back out of it because they don't understand it. Unless they've been through it. So unless you have a police officer that has struggled with active addiction or struggled with alcoholism or struggled with mental illness, they don't have a clue what they're doing. Maybe perhaps if they went to school and got educated on it. So if we had a police officer that had gone through the 4-year or 2-year or 1-year course and got a basic idea on what's going on in mental health, maybe then they could step in, but I think that should be left to the professionals. And my experience is police aren't professionals in mental health. They're just not. I mean, you need somebody that's trained or lived it.
And maybe there could be a part of when you become a police cadet, you go through all of the training you need to be a peace officer. Peace officer. Remember that. Maybe a section in there for those that have an interest in it. Okay, you got to take this kind of training, because in the course of your daily shift, you're going to come across waving a rubber sword around in the air, and he's naked from the waist up, and he's 30 seconds off the pipe. What do? Yeah. You don't just beanbag him or gun him down. You know, seen that too. They have their job to do. Like I said, there's law enforcement. That's what they do. They enforce the law, like it or not. But if they're partnered with somebody that at least understands how mental health affects people.
Listening to the voices of Jason and David and their views and experiences of engagement with the police. Our organization supports initiatives to continuously improve processes and practices across our sector, and to continue to create safe, healthy, and inclusive communities for all. JHS Pacific expressed support for the recent motion passed by the Vancouver City Council on decriminalizing poverty and supporting community-led safety initiatives. We also work closely with many government ministries, health authorities, First Nations, and individuals with lived experience, as well as other community organizations to address these complex issues, many of which we suspect you will have heard through this committee work. We would just ask that if you want to learn any more about our services or want to hear more from our peer mentors, that you engage with us further, as we're always willing to share our experiences. Thank you.